Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for watching. I've got an update for you guys on this tropical system here that we've got that's about to make landfall right here in southern Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and parts of northern Florida. We're also going to be talking about basically all these areas around it, just this fire danger out here for, this large swath of the central U.S., the northeastern U.S., and pretty much all the areas surrounding. But I mean, there is a big risk for fire danger. I believe I didn't make a tab for that specific, point in the weather today, so I think we can just do it on the fly later. But we're mainly going to be focusing on this system down here that's been trying to rotate with a few bands of showers, thunderstorms that have been rotating around the central calm part of the storm, also known as the eye, but we're not going to call it an eye because this is not a named storm yet, so we do not really have much to say about the center of this system. But just to say it out here, this is our first tropical system of the year. Not too strong, but this definitely was looking like it was going to get close to being named, but thankfully this was not strong, so we don't have any concerns with this. But just to show you guys basically what's been happening and what's going on, we do have that system out there, and then some frozen precipitation out here in the northwestern U.S., but that is nothing to really pay attention to. And then for your alerts, what we've got going on is we got some flood watches, warnings, and advisories for southern southern Alabama, Mississippi. I believe actually there's just a bit. There's most of these flood warnings are actually in central Mississippi, and then there's like one in south central Alabama. But that's it for those states. And then for Louisiana and Arkansas, southern Louisiana, I believe you guys have a coastal flood advisory, and then flood warnings also for parts of Arkansas. And we're just going to see a bunch of flood warnings on and off all day because of the system that's going to be making landfall as we get more into, this afternoon. And then that fire danger, look at this. This is a huge area. There are many states under a fire a red flag warning, I should say. But this continues from Massachusetts. This includes all of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Stretches all the way into southern Arizona, and it's like a whole line of just insane fire danger, and this includes entire states like Iowa, the states I just named in the Northeast, and all of Pennsylvania. Some of these are pretty big states. You can see in Pennsylvania is a very big state, but it's very interesting to see how we have a huge area for fire danger pretty early in the season. So maybe that's a sign saying that this spring and the summer will potentially be a very dry one. But otherwise, you got flash flood warnings that I believe are out for the western U.S. You can see here we've got another storm that's trying to get going. You can't really see it based on the alert for the map for alerts, but there is another system out here in the Pacific that's trying to get going. Not like a tropical system, but obviously like an atmospheric river. But the main focus again for today is just going to be on the southeast. So we're going to jump ahead to the southeast. So let me pull this up. And you can see that just based on the GFS, which we're not going to be looking at, you can see that your system is right here just off the coast of southern, I guess this would be Mississippi and Alabama, not quite, extreme southern Louisiana, but, if you want to put it southeastward Louisiana, or southeast Louisiana, you could definitely say that. But I think we should switch ahead to this NAM 3KM model. I really like this because this is broken down and it has details on how, strong these bands of precipitation are going to be. So as you can see, this is going to be 8 p.m. tonight. And look at this. You've got one side of the storm, so one side of the low pressure system is pretty dry. You do have, though, this one band of a very strong rain or very heavy rainfall. and the entire other band is in extreme rainfall, like tropical downpours. So it's interesting to see that. So I think that's going to tell us, that maybe this storm is not going to be very strong in terms of how much rainfall it's going to bring, because a organized tropical system has rain bands on every side of the system. So it's the low pressure system is kind of surrounded by rain bands. But with this one, it's only one side of it. So kind of one half if you want to put it that way. But this is moving. These bands are moving in a counterclockwise direction, which all hurricanes do. So it's interesting to see that. You do see little tightening in this, so like a circle here. So if I wanted to draw a hurricane icon, you would see that there's a circle. But I mean, this does have the characteristics of a hurricane and a tropical-like system. I mean, it definitely is, but excuse me, it's not named and it's not very strong. But you will definitely see this continue to grow in size, and it'll get actually pretty. It might get pretty strong in terms of rainfall once this makes landfall in North Florida. And not talking about you guys in like the Tallahassee area, but like North Florida, meaning just on the border of northwestern Florida and southern Alabama, and then also parts of southern Mississippi you guys are definitely going to be included by this. So what the NAM is saying this morning, what we were seeing on the NAM is definitely the storm was definitely going to track farther eastward, but this one is actually saying that the 18Z NAM is actually saying that this storm is barely going to cut through Louisiana. So you're thinking that maybe this is going to give a larger impact to like the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, and then, kind of leave out Arkansas and Louisiana. So it's very interesting to see that. But this will actually take a jump west. So this will actually head direct northwest, and it will take a shot at aiming for Arkansas and parts of northwestern Louisiana. But this actually does not make it. As you can see, it reforms and it actually gets stronger. You can see here, I mean, even without the low pressure icon, you can still see there's a very well put out and well seen center of the storm here, and this is what a hurricane looks like. I'll tell you, a hurricane. I'll say it again. It's got bands of rain that wraps around a center of the storm, which is the calm center of the storm, and then they're all rotating like I showed here. But I mean, this is definitely going to be a system that you can compare to a hurricane, and you'd see some similarities, but you'd also see some differences. But really want to check out like where this system is going to go, and really, I mean, the strongest point of it's going to make landfall. Probably the low pressure center is going to make landfall around 7 a.m. tomorrow. 7 a.m. tomorrow. So the rain bands are gonna make it in it's already raining out there in Florida, southern Mississippi, and Alabama. But the rain bands have already moved ashore. But the low pressure system is going to move ashore. That is going to move ashore probably not until early tomorrow morning. So this is going to be an all day today and all day tomorrow type of system. And when is it going to try and re-strengthen? Well, it's going to try and re-strengthen around 4 to 5 p.m. tomorrow evening, and that's also going to be when it's going to try and take a jump at Arkansas. So you guys in Arkansas, just be aware for this, because this is coming at you guys, and the NAM does want it to get very close. So the fact that the NAM is telling us that this is going to get very close to Arkansas kind of just shows that there's still a chance that this will completely change directions and it'll just plow right through Arkansas and then give some flooding impacts. So be on alert, you guys, in southern and mainly southeastern Arkansas. But then this storm fizzles out, and all that you're left with is some scattered rain and rain showers, rain bands, and thunderstorms. As you can see, you don't have a low pressure anymore, and let's just make sure that this does not re-strengthen. It barely does. You can see that you've got a pretty strong, actually a pretty strong line of thunderstorms that's going to march its way across the Carolinas. This is all leftover or remnants from this system. So these could definitely be strong, and I think you may have a severe thunderstorm potential with this. I haven't looked at the latest SPC in a few days, but I feel like if we looked at it, this would probably be up to a high, not a high risk, a slight risk. But there is definitely a chance for severe weather with this. It's unlikely, but there's still a chance for that. And then that moves moves offshore, and then you're pretty much done with all this precipitation. So very interesting to see. So I'm going to answer another question for you guys: is when is it going to be the strongest, and where potentially? So right now is one of its kind of weak points because it's not organized right now. Right now, it's just a band of showers and thunderstorms that's moving directly north across the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, it's going to strengthen first, probably around 7 to 8 p.m. tonight. That's still going to be offshore of southern Alabama and Mississippi. But then its next strong point will probably be once it makes landfall in Alabama and Mississippi, like that southern border. And then its third point is going to be definitely a pinpoint 5 p.m. tomorrow. 5 p.m. tomorrow this is where the low pressure center is going to be in south central Mississippi. That's where it's going to be very strong. That's going to be that could be the strongest point of the system. But there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to be one of the strongest points of the system if it isn't. But we'll definitely continue watching these kind of hour by hour outlooks from this. But the NAM is showing 3 major points for this system. First one, around 6, 7, or 8 p.m. tonight. The next one, once it makes landfall along the southern border, the south central border of Alabama and Mississippi. So that would be around 11 a.m. tomorrow. Then the third strongest point, potentially the strongest point, is going to be 6 p.m. tomorrow. So, what I want you guys to do is just pause the video and then look at those 3 strongest points, and then write down in the comments kind of what place you're living in, and then I'll tell you. I'll leave a reply and tell you kind of what your forecast is going to be for that area. Excuse me, I've got a really bad cold today. I don't understand why this is going away or why this isn't going away, but I'm taking antibiotics, but it is just not leaving. So we're going to be looking at the max wind gust forecast from the European model, and this is weird because right off the bat you'll think, oh, this is looking like this storm is well offshore of eastern Florida. But then you think eastern Florida, that's nowhere near what we're talking about. So we're going to break this down and kind of understand what's happening here. So as you can see, once we go throughout the later hours of today into tomorrow, you can see here that we do have more and more, gusty winds that will move ashore here. Looks like this would probably be around tomorrow morning to tomorrow afternoon. When you got winds gusting to 30 to 25 to 30, maybe even 40 miles an hour off the southern coast of Mississippi, Alabama, and southeastern Louisiana. So I think the winds will be stronger in Louisiana. I think we can put that out of the picture. So I think the more heavier rain is definitely going to be in Mississippi, and then potentially Alabama, but really it's looking like Mississippi is going to get the hardest in terms of flooding concerns. But the winds are going to be definitely strongest here, around the coast of the Louisiana coastline. But you can see that these wind gusts really, expand, and you can see they strengthen here. So now you've got 40s and potentially up to 50 mile an hour wind gusts here. So this is the max wind gust forecast. So obviously, this is not strong enough to be named. But the strongest point for wind gusts could definitely be right in this little circle here. This is this is like along the borderline of Louisiana. So I'll outline this in red, like kind of it's along this borderline of Louisiana and Mississippi. Anywhere, if you're living anywhere like on this borderline here that I drew in red, or if you're in this circle here, you guys got to be aware and be alert for very gusty conditions. So maybe up to gale force wind gusts. So please make sure that you are securing all your loose objects outside just in case these blow around tonight into tomorrow. Because you could definitely have some potentially damaging wind gusts. I don't think you'd have to be, afraid about with these wind gusts to be damaging, but you could definitely have some strong to maybe severe wind gusts. So what we're now going to be looking at here is your wind energy. So we're just going to be looking at kind of how much energy we have with this system. And you can see right off the bat by 2 p.m. today, we're already past this, but this is a very deep center of the storm here. Deep meaning, a lot of wind energy left to fuel those winds. And seems to be approaching that almost the same exact spot, the same exact area of what we were talking about with those strongest wind gusts. And maybe that European model was right, but it plows right through that same exact area. Here's that same exact borderline I just outlined, and then here is that circle. I think I drew the circle right here. So the GFS is showing the stronger winds a little bit farther off to the east. So maybe parts of southern Mississippi are going to get the stronger wind gusts, but it's very on edge. It's like right the two major model runs are both saying it's going to be right on the borderline of the two states. If I had to put my money on which state would get the strongest wind gusts, I would say it would be this circled area here in southern Louisiana. I think they're just going to get. I just feel like the kind of the dynamics are just they're just better for and they're more suitable for those stronger wind gusts. But it's just interesting to see and kind of compare the two major model runs and seeing what they're saying about this system and how strong it could get. But then you could see this quickly falls apart, and then you don't have any wind energy. Almost no wind energy is left over, and this will just fall out to sea and just as showers and thunderstorms. So not much to talk about right there, but just to point out here, you will definitely have a fairly strong system come through, and there's a lot of wind energy with that, so you could have some gusty winds. Now we're just going to be looking at the rest of the tropics, just to see if we're going to have any other potential early season, tropical-like storms. But here comes this one that we're talking about, and then that's going to fly out of here probably by the 14th or 15th, you'll have some clearing. But then you don't really see much else, anything else happen. You do have a pretty strong high pressure center right here just off the coast of northern Florida, and that will actually cause a much larger potential for storms well off to the east. So down by like Africa and that continent. But that means that there's going to be a very large decrease of tropical systems that could form here in the Gulf, because this high pressure center is not allowing any low pressure systems to develop in this area unless they are very strong. So we're gonna continue looking ahead, and I'm just gonna be looking for any potential bands of rain or just groups of low pressure systems that can form something. I do want to point out here though, look at this. You've got some showers and thunderstorms off the coast of Florida. I'd like to see if these are rotating. They are not rotating. You do have a little bit of a center of the storm, so you'd think that maybe that's a potential, but that does not look anything organized. And here comes another low pressure system here. And then we're gonna see what this thing does. But this is weird. I mean, if this were to form any tropical-like system, I mean, this would be very short-lived because this all originated over U.S. land. So it's almost not even, a tropical-like system. But, I mean, it takes shape, and it's pretty big here. So maybe around the 23rd, you'll get something started here. But, I mean, you can see this gets very big and very, very strong. And then look at this. I mean, you'd almost look at this, and then you'd say, wow, this looks to me like a potential tropical system. Because you've got low pressure right in the center of the storm. All these rain bands seem to be moving in that counterclockwise direction around the storm, and this moves up the east coast. So maybe your first northeastern coastline storm of the season. So we're going to continue watching this storm specifically. So this is going to be around the 24th, it looks like. But yeah, I mean, this is rotating. Look at this. Let me hold on. Let me play this. Look at this. This is all rotating. All these bands of, yep, that's all rotating in a counterclockwise direction. So, I mean, let me explain the overview of this. So the GFS model, this is the 60 GFS model, is showing a very strong, a potential for a very strong tropical-like system to form just off the coast of the North Carolina and the Carolinas around the morning of the 24th, and then it will quickly strengthen and grow as it moves up the East Coast. So we're going to continue watching that system, and we're going to continue watching the rest of the tropics. So that's going to wrap the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, share, comment, and subscribe if not subscribed to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video. So, like I said earlier, we're going to continue watching these potential early season developments in the tropics, but mainly our focus is definitely going to be on the system impacting today and tomorrow. So stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys in the next update.